We're live from Ology. Hey, everybody. It's good to be here. All right, yes.
Crowd.
A great crowd. Midtown, 6th and Monroe. If you're wondering, please stop on by. Also, I see the chicken head. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Before we do, though, I know generations of FSU science in this building,
That's
right?
correct. Three generations. Head brewmaster Nick Walker and his grandfather, it goes all the way back to the 1950s in the psych department. He was a researcher in the psych department, so who doesn't love Florida State? Who doesn't love science? Those two things bring us Ology right here in Midtown.
Beautiful
Open
thing.
Thursday to Sunday.
And I think I may get a 32-ounce crowler at some point. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah. Boy, we are salesmen, guys. And why don't we do this? Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
You're off this night. Gene Williams, come in here, please.
Come on.
Here we go.
Come on.
Get in here. Make it happen,
What do you
buddy.
think,
Make
man?
it happen.
I don't know. He tried to give it away, didn't he?
Yeah, if they had made that, by the way, if they had made that field goal, that chicken head was still going to be on because we're going to lose that game in overtime, buddy. I
Well,
hate to tell you this. But he didn't make that field
He didn't
goal.
make it.
That's
It was
right.
wide
He
the hell
did.
left.
A win is a win. It was inches.
Yes.
But you pulled
Inches.
it off, Tom. So here we go. The official unveiling.
Oh,
the chicken is gone.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
For
Gene.
those that are
Appreciate you,
here
man.
who don't know what's going on, Tom had never won a game as co-host of this show. He was over, had never won, and so officially now, welcome to the win column, buddy.
Thank you
I'm
so much.
happy. That's good. It's good stuff. All right, so you get a pat on the back.
I do indeed.
Last week's show actually began with depressing hugs. We figured we all needed to dole out hugs on camera for everybody in attendance because the year had been so rough. Why don't we begin today with, come on up, let's do some high fives.
High
Here we
fives.
go. We
Everybody
get
wants
some
a
love
high
here.
five.
Anybody
Come on up.
wants it? Nobody wants a high five.
Nobody wants a high
Here we go.
five. It's a home win. We got a home win. There it is. Watch your feet on the tables. Watch your feet on the tables.
We got it.
As we're doing that, anybody else?
Anybody?
No?
Not
There we go. Hey,
Very
what's
good.
up?
Gary. More subdued audience.
All right, well,
subdued audience. We
Thank
would
you.
give
I got a
high
well
fives
wish
to
up there on the big
everybody.
board. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Let's go. The
Now,
GIFs are there in
Here are
celebration.
some celebration GIFs. This is a live video of Knowles fans watching the kick go wide left against Syracuse. Let's take a look at a couple of them.
Okay. Yes, pleased. Very pleased in the moment. Yeah, we have several of these.
There we go. That's a move you'd pull off.
I think I could. I think I did. Sadly, that was my father. That was my
That was
father
your dad.
in the stands, ready to lift me into the air.
Man,
I
we
was like,
did really need that win. I didn't know how much I needed that win.
Is that you?
Yeah, it is. Oh, I got that.
Well done.
The
You got that
360.
move? That's well done.
Man, I didn't know how much we needed that win until it happened. I was cynical, I was snarky, and then that kick went wide left.
Well, when they line it up, you're like, to a knee, to a knee. There it is! Yes! A home win! A home win! Yeah, the celebration was intact. So we do get that win, but obviously this is going to be decidedly more difficult as the trips continue. Sorry.
There's nothing better than the
That kind of never gets old, actually.
Shack. We can leave that on for the rest of the
Yeah,
segment.
just keep it on a loop, guys. Just keep that on a loop. That's too good. Like, really, you can just keep that on a loop. I'm going to keep looking at this. All right, that said.
Well, because the next topic isn't so nice.
Yeah, the next topic is not nearly as joyous as celebrating a win, our first of the year at home, but rather being nearly a 3-touchdown underdog on the road against Clemson. And it got us thinking, sadly, about some moments that were dark in Florida State history, not so much point by point, but games we might recall in which Florida State was, in fact, a double-digit underdog opening around 20, minus 21.
Yeah.
It's down to 16.5 now for Florida State.
Yeah, as you might guess, these most of these at least have happened recently.
Yeah.
Not so much from
Well, during the time when you were in school, not when I was
Right,
in school.
exactly.
Yes,
the late
absolutely.
70s, the 80s,
Oh,
90s. Not much of that. Not much of that.
Nice,
but
yes.
you know, in the recent times, I can remember these like they were yesterday. Now I'm 31, but they were like yesterday.
Well, in 2001, we lost 37-13. We were huge underdogs, 18-point underdogs. And I'll be honest with you, that game did not resonate with me near as much as the following year when we were at Miami as a 13-point underdog in 2002. A heartbreaking defeat, 28-27. We would all give anything to be in a game that close this weekend. That game I'm not proud of, and I'll tell you why. I had to do post-game shows back then.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
And so
For the FSU radio network?
Yes, and a lot of times for halftime, I would, I'd put the beer down and make sure I was of good mind before we. Well, that game was so heartbreaking. I had to race up to the studio because that game was on the road. I actually did not go down to that game. I did it from the studio and ran in there, and and a producer that we had at that time, who shall remain nameless, said something snarky to me. He was not a Florida State graduate, wasn't a fan. He said something else, and I went to slap a cup that was sitting on, and it hit him in the face. And I still feel bad to this day. That was probably the last time I ever did anything over the top over a loss.
Was that the Shockey game?
That was not the Shockey game. Was it? Was it the Shockey game? That was after they called timeout, run the screen, which they always did. That was wide left. Wide left, 28-27. It was Greg Jones running wild, and we should have had the win. We lost. We were 14-point underdogs in 2007.
My territory.
45-12. You got any fond memories of that?
I think Macia hit a bomb before the half. That was the good thing. And
that's right.
I think they went somewhat down the field, not really, and they hit somewhere in the neighborhood of 55, 58-yard field goal, and we thought, all right, within reach. It was not in the second half.
It was not within reach. No. 2008, we lose 45-15. For those wondering from an historical context, we were just 16-point underdogs that game. And then I think one that we're both still troubled by to this day, Urban Meyer took a knee just before the half despite having all 3 timeouts and it only being like a 2-score game.
Okay.
That game we lost 37-10. We were 26-point underdogs.
Yeah, so we knew a coaching change was coming. Actually, my buddy Coffee is here. We were at Post Hyde Park watching that game, and when Urban took the knee before halftime.
That's not what you do.
No, but after about 5 minutes, anger went by. We said, well, I mean, that is as cold-blooded as it gets. That's kind of impressive. That's taking it to
If
the
we
next
ever get
level.
a chance to take a knee in a game where it's just like a suggestion that you're harmless at halftime.
Man, I thought of that all 2010, that afternoon, when we put that 31-7 beatdown on them. I thought about that all day long.
Most recently, and this is actually encouraging because we have played well in games in which we thought there was little hope on the road against Clemson as of late. You go back a couple years, Sean McGuire at quarterback. Florida State's offense had been struggling. You go to Clemson, you're almost 14-point underdogs, and this is a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. The defense showed up. We have to hope that happens again in this game because I think the defense is really the only way that you have a shot, and I know we don't have a lot of faith in that right now. We only lost that game 23-13.
Man, could have taken that game, really, in the first half. We scored, and we got the lead. Obviously, Dalvin, he almost gets run down.
Well, you get a red zone turnover early.
The red zone pick, man, that was killer, and then you had to settle. There was a play that was, as Jimbo likes to say these days, inches away as we were inside the 10-yard line and had to kick a field goal.
Let's try to segue to something more enjoyable. It's awfully difficult right about now, I would say, to be able to make fun of Clemson's. They're playing really well, but you do Clemson's team, that is.
Yeah.
But it's time to cheer you up a little bit. Here are some related memes and GIFs that aren't a whole lot of ways to trash talk Dabo, but here you go. There's GIFs there. Clemson there you go. That never ended, by the way. That just went on and on and on and on.
He made a return the next year, I think. This is the Nightmare fan. This guy, he has like Dracula teeth, and
well, and the fear is that you sit in front of that football game. This is one of our all-time favorites.
Yes.
This is Nick O'Leary doing a number on a young man that, my word, you got to get lower. You got to get lower.
A fond memory, and we need those this year.
I could watch that over and over and over again. Please, son, get lower. I'll ask again. No, not going to happen. Nick doing the number there. More Clemson memes before we go to break here. There is Tom Lang in the left-hand corner. You can see him there. He's the guy in the black taking a picture as Kelvin Benjamin is making
I'm in awe. This is is after we get that early fumble recovery.
I was on the opposite sideline. It's actually the first time I realized that you had also made it down to the sideline. And I see Benjamin go up, and I go, "There's my man, Tom Lang."
Okay,
everybody else is celebrating.
We weren't allowed to be on the sidelines for that game.
No.
You had to go retreat to the press box, and I ended up standing next to a South Carolina State trooper. His name was O'Donnell.
That state trooper right there who hated Clemson, by the way.
His name was O'Donnell. He said, well, I'm a South Carolina fan. You can stay down here for as long as you like. Said, yes, sir. I'll stay the hell down here. And then Kelvin caught that ball, and then Mario Edwards' scoop and score also happened in that end zone as well.
The rest is history. There's also a cool part in the second half at one point. Jimbo Fisher looks over, and I'm standing next to the coach's box, and it's the closest I've been for a game. And I'm just watching, and he looks over at me like, what the hell are you doing here? But they were winning by so much, he thought it was funny. He kind of smiled and just kept walking. So it was all right. Yeah, there's the Clemson. That's the last of those. All right.
That's the bowlware,
We'll have to do our word association. Want to do that now, or do you want to go back?
Let's go for it. Yeah.
All right. Let's make it happen.
Clemson Week word association. So here we go. First one, we'll start again on a positive note.
Got to.
Cam Akers.
Superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, he's about to be a superstar. He runs mean, he's fast, got all the qualities, and loves to dole out punishment.
I think the exciting thing about, as Dabo's dancing on our screen up here at Ology in Midtown, Tallahassee, open Thursdays through Sundays, is that the instincts seem to be coming. The vision seems to be coming.
Yeah.
You know, he started his career much earlier than Dalvin Cook started his career. And with that experience, those reps, it looks like Cam is taking off to the next level. Hopefully he can be an impact player for an offense that sorely needs one this weekend and into the rest of the season.
Well, in a year in which we've been down, you do look for those positive, the bright spots, the moments in those games. You see he is going to be a star. You have some players on that side of the ball. I actually think for as up and down as he's been as a true freshman, you're going to be okay with James Blackman as well.
Yeah. Clemson fans, in general, how do you feel?
I actually like Clemson fans.
I still do too, right?
Isn't
it
I
weird?
know that's not what I'm supposed to say on the Man Cave
Are we
show.
supposed to like Clemson fans anymore?
Honestly, every time I go on the road,
murmur.
They're actually good. They welcome you in. I want to dislike them, but I can't. I actually like Clemson fans.
Naughty Christmas. Naughty and Christmas.
Bright spots on a really bad defense.
Yeah, to be dominant again this weekend.
Yep.
All right, Josh Sweat.
Same thing. Great game last week. Less explosive than I thought he'd be as a player, but I love his demeanor. He's always been an interesting interview and had a great game last week, hopefully playing his way into a higher draft pick than he was going to be about 3 weeks ago.
All right, two-part Dabo question. First one, Dabo, first impressions of the man.
Doofus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next impressions. Currently?
Current impressions.
Respect.
Yeah.
Understanding, knowing what you don't know, bringing in people as that shift plays, knowing what you don't know, bringing in people as a CEO, and surrounding yourself with smart guys and letting them do their jobs. Brent Venables' hire was brilliant. He doled out over $1 million, took less money for himself as a head coach.
Yeah.
Wise move. It's worked out well.
It didn't look that way, but it certainly looks that way now. Venables. Brent Venables.
One of the best defensive coordinators in the country. I would argue, actually my immediate thought was please come here.
Yeah.
But that's maybe a little dark as well.
We had a Gary Busey suggestion there for Brent Venables. And finally, last word association would be bowl eligible.
Still possible after the win. After the win. Well, even if you lose this week, you'll fall to 3-6, but then you get Delaware State, you go to 4-6. Then obviously you got Florida at the end of the year. They've cashed in the chips. Maybe you win that game, go to 5-6. We just announced that we've rescheduled the ULM game. Get that to 6-6, and I know that's not an exciting bowl, but the bowl streak would stay alive.
What time are we kicking that game off against ULM?
10 a.m. on a Wednesday.
It should
10 a.m. on a Wednesday.
It's going to be another noon kick. All right. Another noon kick.
From here on out, thanks to Jimmy John's and Ology. We'll be back in a moment. I'll have to beat you in some cornhole.
That's right.
Let's do it. That's next.
Welcome back to the Warchant.com Man Cave Show live from Ology Brewing right here in Midtown Tallahassee off of 6th Avenue and Monroe. Open Thursdays through Sundays, so that's for you Knowles fans. If you're coming up here over the weekend, make sure to stop by Ology. Today, a little bit of cornhole action. And for those of you watching right now, which all of you are, down bottom right-hand portion of your screen, that is where the actual target board will be. We'll be talking, and you'll get to see our lackluster form as we do so.
Do you want to start with the positives? Let's start with the positives.
It's been a negative show. We're coming off. It's a victory Man Cave show.
Gotcha.
It's the first one of the year.
We won the game, so let's be happy about that. I'll throw and let's talk about this team and what we have to look forward to.
All right, fine.
All right, here we go.
So the first thing I'd say coming out of this weekend, beyond Cam Akers, and that's the obvious one, that you have a potential superstar, is the nastiness that you see in the secondary. Stanford Samuels this weekend.
The freshman.
Stanford Samuels, who was obviously an early enrollee, so we got to see him in the spring game, and he matched up against some of Florida State's better receivers.
Yeah.
But he didn't play with the edge yet. It seems like he feels comfortable enough in his own skin, comfortable enough in the scheme, that after the play, there's a little bit extra what for, and we needed that so badly.
You think about how well he's played, and then there's actually, as disappointed as we've been, nicely done.
Thank you.
Levante Taylor's played well. You start to see signs. There's some guys out there that I think we're going to love. Nazaline.
Hamza, man.
Yeah, he's going to be a player.
Marvin Wilson in the middle, too, who is just a giant of a human being. I think there's a lot that you could potentially be excited about in the 2018 season.
Yeah.
But everybody just wants to see the necessary changes made. But I think you've got players who have something closer to what Jalen Ramsey had, what Telvin Smith had, what LaMarcus Joyner had.
Well, and they're going to be angry that their first year here was an unmitigated disaster.
Correct.
And they're going to want to get this thing turned around and be a part of the solution, right?
Right.
You got guys that can do that.
Right.
Certainly offensively, Cam Akers. We haven't even seen Tamron Terry this year, but you know what a big body he is and what a good player he can be. I think James Blackman's going to be a very good player. Yeah. I would warn people, it's a little unfair right now. You've lost your best offensive lineman. You've been up and down in the receiving corps due to injury, so he's had no consistency, and he's handing the ball to a true freshman running back. I think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, you've had injuries across the board, and he's a true freshman who wasn't an early enrollee. Yeah. There have been some bright spots. The question is, when he presses in the future, as he presses, is he going to press too hard, and are timely mistakes going to be something that marks his career or not? But one more thing on defense too. Yeah. You noticed at the beginning of the second half this weekend that McFadden was actually on the bench, and it was Taylor and it was Stanford Samuels starting on the two outside positions at corner. Those two guys have been competing like crazy all season long, and I liked when they were both out there because they both were making a mark, and it looked like they were splitting reps. But that's a good preliminary message. Even though McFadden was back in the game for the bulk of the second half, I thought that was a great preliminary message.
One of the things you have to do when fans are upset and the games aren't going the way you want them to go, obviously, people are looking desperately searching for answers. Yeah. And at the very least, they have to be assured that guys who aren't giving their best effort are no longer going to be on the football field. Yeah. That you care as much as they do about winning football games, and get those guys out there to feel the same way, a true passion for Florida State. And that's what Florida State did as a coaching staff, sending a message to McFadden in that situation. There are many, of course, who would argue that it should have been done a lot sooner, and I think they're right about that, but at least it's an acknowledgement that you were willing to make some changes in the midst of a disaster.
Well, I just like that you have some pieces going into next year where if you're trying to build a culture, you have some guys that you can build a culture around. Now, as for that first round, I got you by a point. This will be our second and final round, I think. Is that right, Ryan?
Yeah.
About out of time after that? All right, here we go.
Go forward here, buddy. The pressure's on now. You got me by a point on that one. Oh! That's going to be long. That hurts. Woo!
Well, I got to make up. I was wholly average last week in beer pong, so I got to get a little bit. Oh! All right.
I keep sliding. I'm going to lose this one. I'm done. Oh! All right. That's going to do it. Yeah. I had no choice.
That's all right.
You got me, Tommy. Good job, buddy. Tom is the winner. We'll be back more for the Warchant.com Man Cave Show. Momentarily, you can speak, Jeff. We're at Ology. Welcome back to the Warchant.com Man Cave Show, live from Ology. That's right. It's a good place to be. Delicious beers. We're going to hear more about these beers here at Ology in just a moment.
We've got company.
Max will tell us all about what we're drinking, and I'm going to try the other ones to boot. I know this is delicious. You also have one.
I have it, yes.
Cheers it up. All right, you ready for this?
Sensory
Our thanks
overload,
to Jimmy Johns and, of course, Ology and everybody that is here and all of you watching at home. Top 5 white receiver cliches that you're likely to hear this week.
In honor of Mr. Hunter Renfro,
who's seemingly been there forever.
He's only a junior, you know that?
Feels like he's been there for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so
you're liable to hear these. Here's number 5. He's a precise route runner.
That's right.
That's true.
Precise route runner.
That's right.
Number 4 in the top 5 list of the white receiver cliches you're likely to hear this weekend. He's like having another coach on the field.
Number 3, he's got deceptive speed. You'll hear that.
That's correct. Number 2, the top 5 white receiver cliches you're likely to hear this weekend. He's always in the right place at the right time.
Well, that's a hallmark of white receivers.
That is a hallmark, yes.
Absolutely. He's smart, has great hands, deceptive speed, tireless work ethic, the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to marry, comes from a good home with great parents, a true student athlete, and work ethic for days.
You're going to hear at least 80% of those this week every time Hunter Renfro makes a catch.
There you go.
You can mark it down.
Now, to the beer.
That's correct. The beer cliches.
Well, what I want to do before we do this, I know you have we'll get to weird over-unders, but there's a lot of cool stuff about Ology.
Yes,
Let's get into this here first. Talk about the beer, and then also if you want to get into the family history.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nick, if you want to start.
Yeah, why don't you start? Why don't you go with the family
so you've
history?
Got Florida State in your bloodlines here, and you've got Florida State academics.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, talk to us.
My grandfather moved here to be a professor at
Florida State. Yeah.
And research taste and how we perceive it, how we think about it also. My dad was taste, and so it's marrying those taste and smell attributes and how do we perceive beer, and we love beer. FSU loves beer.
Yeah.
People that love FSU love beer.
How long ago did he come here to do that?
That was back in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
Long
so
time
from
ago.
the 50s to now, it all led to this point in what we're about to taste, which is a good thing. So what are we about to taste?
We have Sensory Overload, what you guys been drinking. That's our IPA. Not much bitterness, but a lot of hop-forward flavors. Got a lot of pineapple, a lot of tropical nose and flavors in it. It's a New England style, so some mouthfeel in there. The other beer we got is Tesla's Pigeon. That's the one right there in front of you. It's the session version, so very light, easy going.
All right, excellent. Let's cheers and
cheers.
Go ahead and taste this one so we can talk about it a little bit. Here you go. Cheers. You can ask Max some questions if you'd like.
All right. Good, sir. Let me ask you, so talk to the people on the Warchant.com message boards, people at Tallahassee, people will be coming to Tallahassee. How can they find Ology? When can they come here? And what are some of the things that when they come here, they have to check out?
So I would start by Googling us for all that information, but I can give it all to you right here. We're at 6th and Monroe, like was already mentioned, in Midtown here. Parking, you can park right across the street, park right in front of us. There's a lot of good parking options. Also, if you want to figure out when we're open, that's kind of always changing because we've only been open 5 months now. We just added Thursdays a couple weeks ago, so now we're open Thursdays through Sundays, but then certain times we'll be open like tonight for awesome guests like you guys having you.
This guy,
Jeez. Yeah. Making us feel very welcome here tonight.
Yeah, open the doors for you. So
Thursday through Sunday, and as business continues to grow, which it obviously will, make a delicious beer, then we'll check the dates and the times on the old Google.
We got to have enough beer
continue to grow. Yeah, absolutely. How many different types of beer do you have?
Ooh, that's a good question. The board's got probably 8 or 9 on there right now, but that changes by the day sometimes. You know, we'll run out of something, put something else on. We do treatments every Sunday of our beers, so there's always going to be something different on in here, but all your core favorites too. So
cheers, gentlemen.
Outstanding. Tallahassee's become a craft beer town.
Yeah, it has. Cheers again.
And Midtown has an excellent place to check out in Ology.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, a round of applause for the guys from Ology. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, we have our weird over-under for the week. Tom, you want to tell everybody about what the weird over-under
so
of the
if
week
you
is?
are into the viral videos and such, and you're on the social media platforms, it'll be up here on the board for the people at Ology. But there were a couple of incidents where fans got into it with cops over the weekend. One in the Alabama game, and the other one obviously down in Miami. Not a surprise there. So we're going to set the over-under for this weekend. 1/2 of a viral video that goes out where a fan is interacting with a cop. So that means if one happens this weekend, a brand new one.
I'll give you one for sure because Miami is playing.
That's correct.
So, okay, there you go. That's the answer. I'm going to go over because of that fact that Miami is playing.
And because that got some run this weekend, you don't mess with a cop.
I think some people just saw the actual shot.
That's the Miami video,
not a good idea to hit a cop.
Yeah.
No, not good.
And also,
we lost it.
Don't hand your cigarette to a cop, too.
After he's told you to stop smoking? Yeah, this guy had asked her more than once, and then she flicks it at him, and we're about done here, ma'am. Yeah, not a good idea. Time for you to come with me.
Well, now these got run.
We're getting dragged. No, yeah. You see her, she's like, hold my cigarette.
Yeah, well, and she's screaming like she's some sort of, anyway.
Like she's victimized.
Don't mess with cops, man.
Over. You ready to go?
All right, yes.
Our wagers.
So locks of the week. First up, I'll take mine first because you got bad news. Here's the good news. I'll stay away from us.
Okay.
My lock of the week, it's Arizona minus 22.5 over Oregon State. Oregon State can't win much of anything these days.
Struggling.
And it appears Arizona's found itself a quarterback and an offense as it typically does, but this time it feels a little bit more different. You have somebody that might steal some headlines next year. Give me the 22.5. Lay the 22.5 . Excuse me.
Yep, that's all
right. That's right. Arizona.
I just wore a spit. He
did.
Convinced. That's
he
okay.
did.
But
that's
as a professional, I never flinched. And I'll tell you here that I'm very sad to make this next pick, but give me Clemson and give the 17 points to Florida State. I just don't know how we're going to score, frankly. And while I hate betting against Florida State, I do like winning money. I will take Clemson and give 17 points against Florida State and hope like hell that I'm wrong and everybody can boo me and I'll come back on and say, hey, congratulations, we did much better than I thought we would.
All right.
Our wager head-to-head of the week, though, is a little bit different. Well, it searched long and hard for this game.
This took us, we were negotiating back and forth on this.
Yeah.
ACC, SEC, Big 12, couldn't find a darn thing until we found K-State and West Virginia.
Not a game we'll be watching.
No.
But K-State and West Virginia taking each other on. I'll take K-State, give the 2.5. Let the old man lead the Wildcats in the business.
The Fighting Bill Snyder.
I'll make it happen.
You know that they call the field Bill Snyder Family Field. It's not Bill Snyder Field.
But it's Family Field.
It's Family Field. That's right.
Done a lot for that university.
Yes.
We wouldn't know if K-State.
Man, I got the cover last week.
You did get the cover last week.
NC State merely losing by 7 points.
They were not worthy of that cover, but I will say that, okay.
Before we get, and Doran accusing the laptops. Oh my God! All right, before we get to our games of the week, and we're going to talk about which picks we have, and that's our Q2. I think Florida State will keep it within 17 this weekend because
you want to go the other side here?
I think the defense is coming to play. That's the only way this can happen is if the defense comes to play.
I'm going to accuse you of pandering is what I'm going to accuse you of. I don't think you really believe that, but that's okay.
Do I really believe it?
Well,
come on, do I believe it?
What are they going to say?
Should I believe it?
No, you don't. All right, Tom. You're a liar. What are they going to do?
Rhetoric 101, man.
Well done. All right. Here we go. Games of the week. Ohio State minus 15.5 against Michigan State. What say you?
I think a downtrodden Ohio State wins, but not comfortably. So Michigan State, give me the plus 15.5.
You and I agree on that. Okie State giving 6.5 to Iowa State. Fun game here.
Yes, that is a fun game.
At Iowa State.
Man, Oklahoma State has to be feeling pretty wretched right now, and Iowa State in Ames has had magic this season. So give me Iowa State to lose by a field goal, but to cover the number.
I'll take Oklahoma State to win by 7. I'll cover by the half point there. I got Okie State on the road. Okay, NC State minus 3 at Boston College. How about those Fighting Adazios, baby? The Fighting Adazios doing some things.
I'm still going to take the Wolfpack here because their defensive front is good enough to not allow what happened to us happen to them.
Much better team, you're right, but I hope we're wrong.
I hope
Come on,
wrong.
Adazio.
Come on.
Get it done,
Guys
baby.
need to be dudes.
Georgia minus 2.5 at Auburn. Good game on the Plains. Georgia wins by more than a field goal. Give me Georgia.
I think so, too. That's a pretty low number. A lot of respect for Auburn there.
Auburn's got a good defense going against a freshman quarterback in a big situation. The pressure ratchets up now on Georgia because there are very real expectations that they're going to be in the playoff. Fromm is a true freshman. They oftentimes try to win games with him only throwing the football 7 to 8 times a game.
Correct.
So that's where that comes from.
But you know that edge we had in 13? They seem to have that similar type of edge. So I think last week they kind of sleptwalked through the South Carolina game. Which we thought they would. We talked about that on this very show.
Yes, we did. All right. Alabama's given 14 to Mississippi State. Going to Starkville. Obviously, Dan Mullen will have those boys ready to play. They kind of sleptwalked through their game against UMass, who, by the way, was the Helton
Yes, they were the Helton team of the week.
But I don't think they're good enough. I think Alabama pulls away late. Give me Alabama.
I agree. All right, Notre Dame, Miami. That number moved from 3.5 down to 3. See if it creeps under a field goal.
What's happened with Miami is they've survived so many close calls that they now believe they're destined to win football games. They played their best game of the year against Virginia Tech last weekend and actually stopped Justin Fuente's team. I don't think that happens here, though. I like Notre Dame's ability to run the ball and play defense. Give me Notre Dame on the road. I'll give the 3.
Usually Notre Dame's a fraud, but this year, however you want to play it, low scoring, high scoring, they got answers for you. So I agree, Notre Dame there.
Oklahoma's given 6.5 to TCU. Some places, this guy may have gotten 7. And in those cases, I may have taken the 7 points for TCU. In this situation, I will give the 6.
Tuesday.
You got to get on it early, buddy. You got to get on it early.
I'm so impressed with your degenerate nature. It's fantastic.
We're willing to, what are you doing? You taking OU or TCU?
Oh, sorry. I got to make a pick, don't I?
Yeah.
I'll take OU.
If it were 7 or 7.5, you wouldn't, would you?
I would still take
Well,
OU.
we have some talking to do.
Okay, with this week,
Yes, we do.
We got plenty of talking to do at Ology the rest of the night here, too, which has been a fantastic host. Thanks again to the folks at Ology.
So much. Cheers to everybody.
Remember to get your 32-ounce growlers right here. Get your 32 ounces.
Delicious stuff here. Thanks to Jimmy John's, as always.
Thank you, Jimmy John's.
Wonderful sponsors. Don't forget to get the mini Jimmys for your tailgates. Obviously, that's not happening this weekend unless you're on the road, but
our
Jimmy John's up there.
Next show's in a couple weeks' time. It's ahead of Florida, which will be the fight for bowl eligibility, I think.
Yeah. Well, Florida's only got 3 wins right now. Do you see them getting...
Oh, just for us. I don't care.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think
they weren't bowl eligible a couple of years ago. They're used to it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We're not. So we thank all of you guys for coming out as well.
Thank you guys.
Tom Lang, I'm Seth Cameron. Good job, Brian Kelly.
Cheers,
thanks
buddy.
to Gene Williams as well. And thanks to you guys. We'll talk to you next time on the Warchant.com Man Cave Show. Take care, everybody.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.